from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool, and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs with Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs with Puffy. You got Steve Harvey, old bit that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac going to everybody else. He brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these the dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa, wait a minute, fellas here, hold up. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my peoples.
For real, that's what we came here for. We came in to light it up and ride it up. We make music.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfuckers, they got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York. Then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay. You know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. We grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt.
For years, Katt Williams was often dismissed as the comedian who said too much. His outspoken interviews were treated as punchlines, brushed off as exaggeration or theatrics. Audiences laughed, social media joked, and the conversation quickly faded. That perception shifted dramatically in January 2024 when Katt appeared on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe. The atmosphere online changed almost overnight. This time, people weren't laughing, they were listening. What made the moment powerful wasn't his humor, but the timing. Several of his past remarks suddenly seemed to align with events unfolding in real time. Instead of discussing stand-up or rivalries in comedy, Katt focused on influence, manipulation, and what he described as a culture within the entertainment industry that protects certain individuals at all costs. He suggested that when serious allegations surrounding Diddy became public, the story would not center on just one person. Months later, 50 Cent released his documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning. The film generated widespread attention, presenting archive footage, timelines, and patterns that had circulated quietly for years. However, viewers noticed something striking. Several prominent names were missing from the narrative. Certain figures were neither mentioned nor examined, despite their past connections. That omission reignited interest in Katt Williams' earlier statements. Online discussions began suggesting that he may have anticipated this outcome. In previous interviews, layered with humor and coded language, Katt appeared to imply that powerful forces within the industry could pressure creators to leave specific individuals out of major projects, not because evidence was lacking, but because influence runs deep. One particular remark from Katt in early 2020 resurfaced. He spoke about individuals in the industry who, in his words, cannot be touched. He didn't suggest there were just a few. He referenced the number 7. At the time, the comment felt cryptic and abstract. But as Diddy's legal situation intensified and the documentary reached audiences, many revisited that moment. Clips were replayed, interviews were reanalyzed, and gradually, what once sounded like vague commentary began to feel like part of a much larger narrative forming behind the scenes.
With Kevin Hart.
I don't know, man.
Oh, okay.
The internet is going wild on him, saying that he was a curator and the narrator of one of the Diddy parties and got caught on tape. You didn't hear that?
Wow. I didn't hear that one.
That must be one of your favorite. That must be one of your favorite comedians, then. Cause you didn't hear that?
That was cool.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
Get out of here.
It was cool, but I didn't hear that one. I must have missed it, man. I think I caught most of them.
I think he almost fell in the tub with one of the girls. Diddy had some girls in the tub, a tub of baby oil or something like that, and he almost fell in the tub. It was crazy.
You know, he would be one of the celebrities that I definitely wouldn't think would be involved in anything illegal. For sure.
But you got to realize this, man. People who get caught up in certain those things like that, those parties and things like that, is that they don't go there looking for that stuff. You got to understand, they get caught up in the moment with the alcohol, the drugs, and then certain bottles that are laced with certain things that take you away from your normal self. And you end up probably doing something that you probably never do again in your life. You never get caught up in those things ever before. There are a lot of celebrities that go to these parties like this. And they not only Diddy parties. I went to a party before and You Can't Handle the Truth and King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me was at one of those parties. I was bodyguarding one of the girls. So what I'm saying is that it's rampant. And this was years ago. This was over 20 years ago. It's rampant in the music industry. It's rampant in Hollywood, film, pictures, or anything.
Can I tell you a story, Killer? I don't think I ever told you this story. This is what Puff taught me. One time I walked in when I was fresh off the streets. I got signed to Bad Boy. I had these fresh Air Nikes on, and then had on Air Nikes too, brand new. I made a mistake and stepped on his sneaker, and the dirt was on his laces, on his white Airs. I said, man, my bad, because I had stepped in some dirt. You know, the nigga came back, put his feet in the dirt, and stepped all over my sneakers. I said, yo, what are you doing? He said, my bad. I said, yo, the moral of the story is, nobody just want to hear you.
The central theory circulating online was simple. Sean Combs was never operating alone. According to speculation, he was allegedly surrounded by layers of protection, influence that extended beyond one individual and into powerful circles within the entertainment industry. The suggestion was that certain high-profile figures, because of their status and reputation, were nearly impossible to challenge publicly. Katt Williams, however, never presented a detailed breakdown. He did not publish names or provide a confirmed list of the 7 individuals he once alluded to. His remarks remained indirect, more suggestion than accusation. Still, that ambiguity only fueled curiosity. As often happens, the internet began filling in the blanks. Social media threads expanded, podcast debates intensified, and online communities attempted to piece together timelines and associations. The more people revisited past interviews and industry relationships, the more theories multiplied. Among the names that frequently surfaced in those conversations was Snoop Dogg, not as a confirmed claim, but as part of the broader speculation unfolding online.
Told the day before the incident at the celebrity basketball game that someone was coming for Puffy and Biggie. And another line that May said that caught my attention, man, was him saying that never fought the killer. Why is there? How do you feel about him saying that? Because it sounds like he's referring to Biggie getting killed in LA, and Puffy, he's currently living in LA right now. And why does he feel so comfortable living somewhere that Biggie got killed at knowing that they never found the killer and the murder is still unsolved?
Well, on all honestly, brother, you would have to ask him that. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it like that, then I know, those mansions are heavily guarded. 1, 2, he wasn't getting the love that he would get. I don't think he getting love in LA. I don't know. He said he owns LA. He runs LA. He runs Miami, and he runs New York. So by him running LA, as he say he does, I would feel comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? If I knew for a fact that the person they got, and that was enough to call back all of everything, I would feel that comfortable too. But I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't go there. I'd do business and get on out of there. If I was still afraid, I don't think he may have not ever been afraid. You understand? Because he never acted like he was afraid.
Many observers were quick to highlight that Snoop Dogg had, over the years, openly acknowledged attending Sean Combs' gatherings. In various interviews, lighthearted remarks, and archived clips, he referenced those events casually, suggesting that their professional and social circles frequently overlapped. As online conversations intensified, older rumors resurfaced as well. Claims connected to Ali Carter and other past stories began circulating again. None of it was verified, but the sheer volume of discussion led some viewers to question why Snoop's name did not appear at all in the documentary. Some speculated that mentioning him might have sparked significant backlash, not just from fans, but from influential industry figures. Snoop Dogg is not only a recording artist, he represents a wide-ranging brand, multiple business ventures, and a cultural presence that spans decades. To certain observers, that level of stature made him difficult to scrutinize in a mainstream project. At the same time, Kevin Hart's name surfaced in online theories, catching many by surprise. Discussions revisited his early career trajectory and the connections he formed during that period, including references to events sometimes described as flavor camp. These gatherings were alleged by online commentators to be associated with Diddy and framed as networking spaces for emerging entertainers seeking opportunity. Fans began rewatching Kevin Hart's early stand-up routines, with some interpreting specific jokes differently in hindsight, not as evidence of wrongdoing, but as material that prompted new speculation about what he might have seen or experienced during that phase of his career. Others suggested that explicitly involving Kevin Hart in the documentary could have introduced complex legal challenges. His career spans major studio partnerships, production deals, and global distribution networks. Any implication, even indirect, could carry significant contractual consequences. In the end, there were no confirmed accusations tied to these discussions. What remained instead was an absence, unanswered questions, and unaddressed names, leaving online communities to debate possibilities in the space where definitive clarity never emerged.
That Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly. Anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike on more than one occasion, listen here, man. My dudes in Philly, I got some real strong dudes in Philly. They don't play that. And they probably embarrassed for the fact to see that Meek Mills, one of the street guys that came out of there, got caught up in this Hollywood, whereas that he's dressing like Diddy, hugged up with Diddy. I think that Lil Rod know a lot of, but I know this. Two men dress alike, it's just like two men laying down. When they both get up, they both homos.
And that's real talk, bruh. My man, you go to a party, dog, and the nigga got the same shirt you got on. I'm taking my shirt off. I'm walking around in a t-shirt. And then, not to blow Meek Mills up out the water or anything like that, it was said that they checked his Google search and all that, and he was searching for some online gay porn and all of that.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, bro. But listen, those are what, you know, it's crazy that money, that lifestyle, and you trying to fit into something get you. These guys never set out to do all this. Meek Mills, when he got into the game, he didn't set out to be questioning about his manhood with Diddy. But he put himself in that position.
Like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So
perhaps the quietest name linked to the broader conversation. Yet, for many observers, one of the most telling was Macy. His history with Bad Boy Records is well known. From contract disputes to public expressions of frustration and ultimately stepping away from the spotlight, his departure from that era was anything but subtle. The tension was visible and the separation was significant. When allegations surrounding Sean Combs began making headlines, some expected Mays to offer insight or perspective. Instead, he remained largely silent. That silence quickly became a narrative of its own. For some fans, the absence of commentary suggested that Macy may know more than he has ever chosen to reveal publicly. Others argue that his decision reflects personal growth, a choice to prioritize peace, stability, and distance rather than reopen chapters from a complicated past. Speculation online suggests that his connection to the situation may be layered and deeply intertwined with the early foundations of Bad Boy Records. Revisiting those years would not simply mean sharing opinions. It could mean reopening unresolved business, relationships, and history that cannot easily be separated from the larger story. In the end, no public statement came, only quiet distance. And for many watching, that silence felt just as significant as any headline.
Now, understand, I'm not talking about one person. What I just told you applies to 7 people. How they all end up with that. That's part of what you get. I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
And now you have to ask yourself, how did 50 come into the possession of Diddy's footage for Diddy's documentary about Diddy?
A lot of insight. And, you know, this documentary is about people being able to tell their truth or tell their version.
Meek Mill's name entered the conversation after an audio clip began circulating online. Within hours, it spread across social media platforms and ignited widespread debate. Some listeners dismissed the clip immediately, questioning its authenticity and context. Others treated it as significant, analyzing every detail. Meek publicly denied any wrongdoing, but by that point, the discussion had already gained momentum far beyond the original recording. Online speculation suggested that formally including Meek in the documentary could have introduced substantial complications. Commentators pointed to potential legal risks, including defamation concerns, contractual disputes, and the possibility of aggressive media scrutiny. For a major distribution platform, even the threat of prolonged legal battles could be enough to reconsider certain editorial decisions. Within rumor driven spaces, this situation was framed as one of the strongest examples of content allegedly being left out, not necessarily because it lacked relevance, but because the perceived risk outweighed the potential benefit. However, it is important to note that these claims remain speculative. No confirmed evidence has surfaced indicating that material was deliberately removed for those reasons. What remains is a debate shaped largely by online interpretation rather than verified documentation. Another instance where unanswered questions allowed theory to take center stage.
Without a hitch last night, a sense of that there. No, inside everything was fine, and outside everything was fine. And Kevin Hart decided that he was going to make jokes about, well, I mean, he's the host, right? So you have to sort of roast a little bit about someone who's in the audience because, well, this person is in a prison, actually right now sitting in a courtroom, and that's Diddy. Yes, he didn't say his name, but it was very clear to everyone who he was talking about here. Watch the reactions in the room.
Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know, his after parties, were a part of the BET experience. So, life comes at you fast, but, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say the Diddy after parties that happened after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak offs. The trial is something separate, but still nobody.
Among the most sensitive names circulating in online conversations were Justin Bieber and Usher, both of whom had early professional associations with Sean Combs during formative stages of their careers. As discussions intensified, older video clips and archived interviews resurfaced. Some viewers began re-examining those moments through a different lens, interpreting certain interactions in ways that felt unsettling in hindsight. Years later, Bieber's visibly emotional reactions during encounters with photographers further fueled online speculation, with some interpreting those moments as layered with unspoken context. This led to broader questions within online communities. Were certain young artists shielded by the industry in ways that carried unseen personal cost? Some commentators suggested this might have been where the documentary drew a clear boundary, not because the topic lacked importance, but because it involved individuals who may have once been vulnerable. Bringing deeply personal speculation into a public platform, they argued risk.
So it's going to be hard to figure it out if it does exist.
Do you believe the guy in the tape is white?
If he's bigger than Diddy and he's not none of the names that I said, probably so. But then they say he was young too.
Yeah, they say he was young.
Let me get his name right. I hope it ain't the Bieber. I hope it's not the Bieber.
That's a good one. It might be him. But if they saying that the guy is young and he's an A-lister, I can't think of that many black people, man.
Right. Not at all. And somebody that's more powerful, more of a celebrity than Diddy. You understand what I'm saying? If they were saying somebody that was more celebrity than Diddy, he was an A-lister, he was younger. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not black, it would have to be the Bieber. That's his name, Bieber? They said I got that wrong too. Justin Bieber, allegedly. I don't know, bro.
Right. But when you heard the news that Diddy, he had a tape with another man, did that catch you by surprise or not?
Well, all this is by surprise to me. A lot of this is by surprise to me, to be totally honest, man. Because I knew Puff. I knew Puff Daddy. I knew Diddy before he was Love and Brother Love and back to Diddy. So, no, but the diddler, he's the diddler now. A lot of it's surprising but it's not unheard of. Because you hear of all kinds of and whether it registered with you or you internalize it or something like that, that's a whole nother story. But a lot of this stuff is
causing harm rather than providing clarity. As a result, those names remained unaddressed. Meanwhile, conversations around Meek Mill continued to escalate. Online critics revisited past appearances, fashion statements, and social interactions involving Diddy, often forming conclusions based more on perception than verified evidence. Alleged search histories and unconfirmed rumors were circulated as well, none substantiated by official findings. The rapid spread of such claims highlighted how easily narratives can solidify when definitive information is absent. Another figure frequently mentioned in broader debates was Clive Davis. If Diddy was seen by some as a visible figurehead, Davis was often described as a long-standing power broker operating behind the scenes. His absence from the documentary stood out to certain observers. Some argued that
I didn't see this, but apparently there's another 100 hours of Diddy footage on the cutting room floor.
So Diddy is still doing press. I mean, Diddy. 50.
Diddy is not doing press.
No,
he's doing press on the yard.
He's doing press like he's doing push-ups. No, 50 is still doing press, and obviously with the success of the Reckoning documentary, he's talking about there's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has, and each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. There was 4 episodes, so there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or produced. And he's saying that he may put it out on YouTube just to put it out there,
like on his 50 Cent Vivo page.
I don't know if it'll be on his page, but he just said, he doesn't know if he's going to release it with Netflix or through Netflix. He might just, put it out on YouTube or wherever, some other platform. But the one thing that he said that was interesting is, he said, because you see people out here trying to, say, oh, the documentary can paint a narrative, this and the third. And his words,
including someone of his stature, would have shifted the focus from one individual controversy to the structural mechanics of the entertainment industry itself. And addressing systemic influence, many believe, is significantly more complex than centering a single public figure. Throughout the unfolding conversation, 50 Cent addressed rumors in his own way, emphasizing that documentaries operate within constraints, episode limits, legal considerations, and platform standards. Yet Katt Williams, through layered humor and indirect commentary, appeared to imply a broader reality. From his perspective, omissions in high-profile projects might not always be purely creative choices. They could reflect legal caution, distribution pressures, reputational risk management, or protective considerations for those involved. No official confirmation supported many of these theories. Much remained speculative and open to interpretation. Still, for some viewers, what stood out was not only who was missing, but how familiar the pattern felt. Longtime observers of the entertainment industry have seen similar cycles before. A scandal erupts, one individual becomes the focal point, and the wider system continues largely unchanged. As the conversation expanded, additional names entered online debate, including Ray J and Clive Davis. Podcasts, live streams, and social media threads began mapping out potential connections, asking how different figures within the industry might intersect behind closed doors. One recurring theme quickly took shape: scandals often narrow. After Sean Combs' The Reckoning premiered, many viewers felt the narrative remained tightly centered on Sean Combs, while broader structural questions seemed to fade into the background. Who financed certain events? Who approved specific venues? Who maintained long-standing professional alliances behind the scenes? Online commentators compared the situation to past industry controversies, pointing out what they viewed as a familiar pattern. One individual becomes the public focal point, absorbing the fallout, while deeper institutional dynamics prove far more difficult to examine. During promotional interviews, 50 Cent explained that extensive research went into the documentary. He emphasized due diligence, verified timelines, and carefully chosen sources. Notably, He also mentioned that more than 100 additional hours of footage reportedly did not make the final cut. That detail reignited speculation. Why was so much material excluded? Some suggested it was simply a matter of pacing and narrative structure. Others pointed to potential legal constraints, ownership rights tied to original videographers, or platform guidelines. A few speculated that certain segments may have required additional clearances or interviews that complicated inclusion. Meanwhile, commentary from Katt Williams began to resonate differently for some observers. What once sounded like exaggerated stand-up commentary now felt, to certain audiences, more like coded insight. He had long suggested that within entertainment, information is rarely erased outright. Instead, it is curated, framed, and strategically managed. Viewers also claim to notice subtle shifts. Interviews quietly canceled, social media posts removed, older collaborations fading from public timelines. It did not appear chaotic. To some, it appeared deliberate. Whether 7 specific names were ever formally excluded remains unproven, yet the reaction itself became part of the narrative. Many public figures did not issue strong defenses. Instead, they maintained distance. And in high-profile controversies, silence can sometimes speak louder than public statements. The broader online question evolved beyond identifying who may have been omitted. It became about whether the controversy revealed something structural, something larger than one individual. When attention concentrates tightly on a single figure, observers often wonder what deeper layers remain unexamined. For now, much of the conversation remains speculative rather than confirmed. But one sentiment continues to surface. When speculation spreads faster than official clarification, it often reflects public skepticism about whether the full picture has truly been shown.
The docuseries is entitled Sean Combs, The Reckoning. How is this one different from the others that have been out there?
Well, I think that the biggest marker of what makes this film or the series different is how much time we took into putting into the making of the film, doing our due diligence to get the right voices, to the table. This is a series that spans over 30 years. So just by covering that much time, it took a lot of time for us to dig in and to kind of make sense of this story and to put this timeline together.
Yeah, and there's like some never before seen footage that I'm going to talk to you about in just a moment. But Curtis, people know about this very public, long-standing feud that you've had with Sean Combs. So what brought you to this project?
Well, I just want to make really hit television. I like the idea of it being exciting, and I picked this project and started working on it about 5 months before I found Alex, and I know that she has the artistic integrity that it would take to make it a great project, and there's the Quincy Jones era of production is find me that bass player because he's the baddest man out there in Chicago, and find me that keyboardist and fly them in from Miami, and we put them in and have the greatest jam session they ever heard, and it just always resulted in great hit music. And I take that concept into television production.
You take that into everything you do, sir.
That's right.
You really do. It really comes through, and appreciate that about you. As I said, never before seen footage of the days leading up to his arrest. Can you just talk a little bit about, was there anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, I think it's rare to find someone who's being, talked about all over the country. All eyes were on him, so to speak. And it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and what was sort of important to him. Obviously, there's phone calls with his attorneys, with his team. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. He has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public, in the days leading up to his arrest and indictment. So that was interesting. It was also just interesting to see how laid back he was at times. But, you know, the footage also, in the footage, we also see how he's getting incoming, you know, lawsuits are dropping, and to get his real-time perspective on that was sort of jaw-dropping when we first got our eyes on the footage.
Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching the footage?
No, that didn't surprise me at all.
Because you've known him?
Yeah, those behaviors. And I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that, because